The last time I saw Mohamed, he was enjoying afternoon tea with 3 of his grandchildren. Completely in his element, he was making sure each had enough sandwiches while leaving room for a slice of the gâteau that was the centerpiece in his garden pavilion. There was constant laughter and shrieks of delight as their grandfather got strawberry jam all over the place serving me a scone. Mohamed was, at heart, a family man. I think that is what initially attracted Princess Diana to him and his charming Finnish wife, Heini. Diana had been looking for a happy family life ever since her own mother, Frances, walked out on her father Earl Johnny Spencer when she was 6. The reason Fayed lost his royal warrants after falling out with the firm in the Fayeds, there was a family who found complete contentment in simply being together. Mohamed never wanted to go to nightclubs or smart restaurants. He wasn't interested in society. His priority was his family, followed by his customers and staff, many of whom were recipients of his unbounded generosity. Above all, he was larger than life and always kind and considerate. Apart from his family, his big love was Harrods. Even when he was on holiday, he would come back to London because he missed it. The only time he was ever away for as much as 4 days was after the tragedy in Paris when he was burying his eldest son. Mohamed was never quite the same after Dottie was killed, along with the princess and their driver Henri Paul in the early hours of August 31, 1997. I could see the sadness at the back of his eyes. He admitted to me that life for him would forever have something missing, but he said, "I have to remain positive, Michael, for the sake of my family and my staff. I can't walk around looking sad. I must smile. I have 7,000 people looking to me for leadership. I cannot give that if I look how I feel. Don't miss." Mohamed Fayed buried next to his beloved son Dottie. Latest, Mohamed Fayed's obsession. Royal family plotted Diana and Dottie's death. Discover Mohamed Fayed's surprisingly close relationship with Diana as he dies aged 94. Insight: he was devastated but never gave way to tears or self-pity. I knew Mohamed for 37 years and worked for him from 1988 until 1998 as Director of Public Affairs and one of 6 members of the main board, of which he and his youngest brother Ali were 2. I always liked him, even when he made me lose my temper, on average twice a year. When that happened, he would send a glass of rich champagne along to my office and ask my secretary to tell me, "Calm down, Michael. Smile, Michael, smile." I never heard Mohamed raise his voice or use profane language. He had charm and an easy way with him. He was right far more often than wrong and a much better man than his many critics, some of whom I feel could not forgive him for owning Harrods while being Egyptian. He invited me to join the board of House of Fraser plc, as it then was. It was the start of a tumultuous decade during which there was a drama every day. Like a Roman general who does not know how to retreat, Mohamed withstood R.W. Tiny Rowland's 7-year vendetta against him over the Fayed brothers' 1985 acquisition of House of Fraser. Then, on October 22, 1992, Tiny surrendered. He thought he could bully me, Mohamed told me. Because I have a permanent suntan and crinkly hair, he thought I was another African he could pat on the head and rob. I had to show him he was wrong. I fought fire with fire. It was Tiny who got burned. In 1984, Mohamed's revelations about Tory MPs taking his cash for asking parliamentary questions led to the sacking or resignation of 3 of John Major's government ministers. one of whom, Jonathan Aitken, went to jail for perjury. Mohamed's revelations had nothing to do with the government denying him a British passport. His application for naturalization was turned down 4 months after his revelations of Tory sleaze. So, if anyone was taking revenge, it was the government on Mohamed. Why did he make those revelations, even though he knew that they would provoke a furious reaction from government-supporting newspapers which would vilify him? The answer is the DTI report into the House of Fraser takeover, published on March 7, 1990. The British government insulted the good name of my family in their report into my perfectly proper purchase of House of Fraser and Harrods, he explained. They put it in a book with a government crest on it. I had to show the world what kind of people they were. They dishonored my name. But they were the dishonorable ones. Mohamed's revelations of rot at the heart of government changed the British Constitution. The Nolan Inquiry recommended the establishment of a parliamentary commissioner on standards. This new figure assumed the powers previously exercised by MPs to judge their own behaviour. So, he did us all a big favour, Mohamed would often say. If I woke up on a bench in Hyde Park with just a piece of bread and a piece of cheese, I could make everything again. But that government took away my good name, and that I could not tolerate. And then something happened that was far worse than anything before, the tragedy in Paris. He loved Diana and regarded her as a daughter. The whole family did and still do. He loved Dottie deeply. Throughout that terrible week, Mohamed displayed the greatest dignity, fortitude and courage, grace under pressure, as defined by Ernest Hemingway. He was immensely generous, and not just to people he knew. Many who asked him for help, particularly to care for dangerously ill children, received it beyond their wildest dreams, not just in money but in personal support and kindness that knew no limits. He was the biggest ever individual donor to Great Ormond Street Hospital for Sick Children, endowing its first MRI scanner and then paying for technological updates. If you do something good in life, you come back as something wonderful, Michael, he said. I told him this was Buddhism, not Islam. He would counter that the Quran and the Bible also say love thy neighbor. He always had an answer. When he bought Fulham Football Club in 1997, wagging tongues on the terraces said that he intended to build luxury flats on Craven Cottage. But in 15 seasons, he took struggling Fulham up to 7th in the Premier League in 2009, then the club's highest finish, leading on to their first Europa League final in Hamburg. When the FA came begging for the manager, Kevin Keegan, to take over England in a crisis, Mohamed readily agreed, because, as he said to me, it is my patriotic duty to the country that I love and where my kids were born. Ambition is a good thing, and failing to achieve everything you set out to do is not failure. By any standard, Mohamed achieved a great deal in life. Owning the world's most celebrated store, the most glamorous hotel in history, and an iconic football club that is many people's second favorite team, because of its charm, its individuality and its capacity to surprise. Much like its former owner Mohamed Al Fayed. Only one thing concerned Mohamed on that last day I saw him: the safety and well-being of his grandchildren. Make sure they wear their seat belts in the car, he instructed one of his staff as the children left. Twice more he asked Haney, and then the returning staff member, did they wear their seat belts? Are you sure? Only when he received that double assurance did he fully relax and watch the evening news, to see how the world was getting on. He was my friend. I never saw or heard anything to his discredit, or I would not have worked for him. I am not going to change my opinion now. If you want to read a cruel attack on him, you will have to look elsewhere, because I maintain that he did more good in the world than all his critics combined.